one of the major important things that we have to understand is how do change happen. We always complicate things in life. There are multiple solutions. I mean, you could be asking, what is ProblemBolo? There could be some other product that is sitting somewhere. How is ProblemBolo different from any of that, and why we chose ProblemBolo? Keeping it simple is the most important thing of any new ideas. Currently, what is happening is that when you basically have new ideas, you have 1,000 startups. Out of 1,000 startups, only 10 basically get into fruition, and then only 10 out of those are essentially even scalable and fungible in terms of making commercial presence. And the reason is very simple. The first thing is we complicate things. Keep it simple and take it to the market and keep on iterating. And I think that's what we've been pushing them to really taking to the market, because I think once they go to the market, we will probably see some change, and once we see some change, then we will basically start thinking about how we can make a much more rigorous change to the product at a later point. Now, going back, see, one of the things that you might be asking, so this is a civic society product, and so how long can we basically fund this? And should we be funding continuously forever, and how can we make it fungible? And one of the discussions that we had, a lengthy discussion about, how can we make civil platforms, NGOs, don't call this an NGO, by the way. This is not an NGO. How can we make it sustainable? How can they basically make more money? How can they basically expand into multiple geographies? One of the things that basically we were talking about is creating an army. I think there's a gentleman here who's from IM Marketing here. He would agree. Cortes, one of the things that he always tells is, he's basically a change management guru. He says you need to have a volunteer army to make a change happen. And it has to be continuous. And where we really feel here is that we have to add a volunteer army. And I think, of course, it's still in a place of discussion that today advertisements fill up all of the products. And if we add advertisements to these kind of platforms, they get thrown away and they'll never be used. So how can we make it simple, elegant, and scalable? And the way you can make it is bringing society into it. And again, if I ask you guys to basically do it, what is the incentive mechanism? So what we've kind of thought was that the first thing that we thought was bringing in SMS, the small micro enterprises that are already there, Kirana general stores. See, how can we make them part of the change process? Because today, I can basically say there's a pothole, but there may be a pothole, there may not be a pothole. So how can we really authenticate the problem, and how can we make sure that the problem is done? So through this platform, what we feel is that we create a simple rating platform of Kirana general stores, civic awareness and civic representation. And again, taking that forward, the people who are using it can essentially see how the representation of these micro enterprises are working with them, and then taking it to a next level of maybe some kind of a commercial platform. Again, it's still in a thought process. So you could be asking, how are we helping them? I think the team is absolutely self-sufficient to take it forward to a larger area. But then, remember the first thing I told you is keeping it simple and keeping it iterative. Sometimes young generation, especially millennials, they have this ideology, and I'm sure a lot of millennials here on the table, the ideology is to basically quickly take it to the market and then fail. And they don't want to fail, and they make some changes which doesn't really apply to the market, and then the product will never be used. So the way we want to basically help them is to keep it simple, to understand failure and to mitigate failure, and then keeping it commercial. Then two other things that I feel we want to really work on is that, so I own an agriculture company, and it need not be this one simple agriculture company. So we have a product that basically sitting with the farmer. There's a problem. So the farmer has to basically send something to them. So what we feel is that you can take a picture, and all my representatives and service technicians can be connected to this. And then I can take a picture, I can connect it, and quickly, based on geotagging and geofencing, I can identify where the problem is, I can send it to them, and then I quickly basically can fix this problem that I have with the farmer. So not only just my equipment, any weather related issue, crop pest issue, anything that you could, I'm talking about only an agriculture sector. So you could take it with the same thing with the healthcare industry. I have a problem, I can take a picture, even we can add video to it, and this is where the next thing that I feel is the virtual reality. So think about in a healthcare area where you have a problem. You've seen Three Idiots, there was a movie, somebody taking a picture and then they're kind of doing surgery through a video. Think about there is an issue, somebody goes on a platform and say, I have a problem, could be a health related issue, and then a quick representation by somebody in that society can come in and help them and take it forward. So not only just it is developing a society, it is integrating the society into solving the problems of maybe a commercial problem or a civic problem. So I feel there's a big potential from where they are today to taking it to a scalable model, and then a fungible model, and then doing this iteratively, knowing it and doing it like what they have done for the last 2 years, going into the market, hush, not much of a problem, and then do some change and come back, redo it. I think that's a great way of they've done, and I think they'll be, they should do this more. I don't see the technology guy, but technology plays a major important role. And when we started discussing how do you program this, we don't want to make it complicated. We don't want to make it in such a way that we have 10,000 people working on it. So we want simple solutions, small teams, effective implementation. So that's what I feel we as mentors want to really help them, and they as team can also basically take this and then take it to the market. One of the things that we were talking about is the investment. So how do we basically take it forward? And I don't want to disclose numbers. I can take percentages, because I don't want people outside who are listening to this get excited that we'll be doing these numbers maybe more and more. But any social impact, and this is something I'm talking for my whole team, and the team is a couple of guys who are part of McKinsey's, a couple of who are part of Accenture's. They have extensive experience. I don't think I would probably call myself a fully flushed fund, but we have enough fund to basically take it to social impact projects. For this single project, we feel that the next level growth is that we were talking about taking it to Sri Lanka and taking it to commercial platforms. We may see another 20 to 30% investment into this, and then seeing the result, we would probably be moving forward to really taking another leap of 20 to 30% increase. And the just ballpark numbers, it basically can range from all the way from $20,000 to $100,000. So of course it's a long range though, but it'll definitely from $20,000 to at least $100,000 is what we feel in the next few months we want to infuse into it. And thank you very much for your patience. I know you've been listening to us all along. So of course, media, in the US media, we feel they don't have patience, but at least in India, we have at least patience here. So thank you very much for that. So.